Do have to do a couple of things here as we just get into this one though, but let's introduce the players first because we are a minute or so in. To the top right hand side, our blue Zerg player is Namshar, who just took down Snoot in the losers bracket, did not Snoot out of the tournament. And now we have to the bottom left hand side, the red Protoss player from XED Sports is Geralt. If you guys are enjoying the stream of the day, I'm just going to go for the full sellout cycle here, guys. First of all, make sure you hit that follow button. We're pushing towards 30,000 followers on the channel, which is just awesome to see. So do continue to hit those up, and thank you so much for everyone who has been doing that already. It's a great way to see when we're going live in the future with more StarCraft 2 content, so keep those coming. Otherwise, if you're also enjoying the channel, you can subscribe. If you're a Twitch Prime user, you can subscribe for free with Twitch Prime. It goes a long way to support and it helps me continue to cast StarCraft. And we are sending out a replay pack including all of the games from today and yesterday, as well as many more that we've casted this month, which is going to be going out tonight or tomorrow, depending on how tired I am after the stream. So that's coming up for subscribers, so get your hands on that while you can by becoming a sub before the end of the day. And obviously you can also support through Twitch, through donations, cheers as well if you would like to, and all the rest of the usual stuff, guys. So do check that out. One last thing I want to say just before we talk about this Pneumatized Carapace and the Phoenix opener is, if you are enjoying the stream, another way you can support is checking out our sponsor, Sneak Energy, !Sneak. And with !Sneak in the chat, we'll give you the link to the Sneak Energy site. Do go check it out. It goes a long way if you check it out, and we do appreciate it. So do go and give that a click. And we'll get ourselves into the action here for game number 1 of this best of 3. 3.5 minutes into game. We are going to be seeing a Overlord here being taken down by the Phoenix. And we are just going to be having the lair on the way up from Namshar in the top right hand side of the map. So he is opening into a very standard ZvP setup. The third hatchery is finishing his lairs around the 4-minute marker, very normal. And the Protoss player with the Stargate opener is, of course, pretty much as straight up and standard as it can be, obviously. No real kind of, nothing really which says, hey, I'm going to be doing something crazy. Single Oracle into the Twilight Rover is completely normal as well. Generally means we're going to see a nice fast Templar Archives and the Prism, get charge rolling, and just see that kind of very typical Archon charge lot setup initially. We are going to see these Lings actually very nearly break through the front. And this pylon actually went down to empower a gateway, so that's actually a little bit of a nuisance here early on. And I'm sure with some good damage dealt there. And as we are going to be seeing the couple of Lings backing away all the way over to the right hand side, and a couple of Depths actually shading across. They do find themselves a couple of drone kills, as they will continue to take some more damage for these Lings coming forwards. Getting some good surrounds and some good damage actually getting the kills, at least in the end, but some losses there. I don't think Geralt is overly disappointed with that attack. I don't think Namshar is overly disappointed with that attack. It seems like a pretty even trade on either side. Couple of drones, but the Adepts get taken out. It's not like they're still roaming the map, picking up information and causing chaos at later stages. Now Namshar goes straight into the Hydralisk Den here. Groove Spine starts on up. So he's getting himself in towards the Groove Spines upgrade. He's getting himself into Ling Hydra. No Baneling Nest yet, so it is just Ling Hydra. 50 drones. It's been a little while since we saw those aggressive Ling Hydra attacks because of the splitting of the upgrades. Although we did see a little bit of aggression out of Stefano earlier today against Petit Drogo. He tried to go for like a 46 drone Ling Hydra, very aggressive attack. Didn't work out because Drogo was playing very aggressively himself, and it was kind of a bit of a hard counter with Glaives finishing up for him as well. As we are going to be having the charge just coming up here, and the Observer as well. We already mentioned the War Prism would be on the way, and it is already off over to the right hand side. And that's going to allow Geralt to well, just drop down a couple of Archons, get them harassing. We start to have some presence on the map here earlier. So that's a lot of Lings though. I guess that's why the Oracle is still nearby, and it comes back in to push those Zerglings away. So Namshar will not find himself any progress on the third base. But that's okay, because it's a relatively late third base, so it's not as though Namshar should be cancelling it. It's completely normal for that to come up, as he has his own free hatchery set up himself. As we are going to be having the charge upgrade is just now finished, so maybe a little bit more aggression. Just the 2 Archons for now. I like the Observer coming over. Again, just cleaning up the creep, something we've been seeing cross players prioritize quite a lot more recently. Just getting rid of that creep actually goes a long way, but that isn't good. Losing the War Prism. Hydras are going to try and chase down those Archons. A few more Lings and you could have caught them and got the surround. As it stands, the Archons will actually survive. The War Prism kill is still nice though, right? Because now these Archons still can't do too much more. As if he's going to come back in with those Archons. That is called straight up bravery right there. as we are going to be seeing them still getting away. I guess there's a recall available in a moment or two, right? And as these Hydras try and chase down off creep, the Archons will create enough of a distance to get the recall, and they shouldn't go down. Very nearly, but they don't. So Archons get out of there, and they even get back to shield barrier to heal them right back up nice and easily. Look at that. So easy. Simple, clean, all good. Well, Sidestorm is on its way up here from Geralt as well, and we are going to be seeing this Observer from Geralt. Just moving back out into the center of the map. A couple of Queens out the front, Hydras as well. Whoops, going to see that Overseer is going to be able to snipe down that Observer, so Observer does fall. The few Adepts coming up towards the top side of the map are going to be trying to get some more damage done as well. I mean, this group of Hydras here from Namshar also having a little bit of a sneak peek as to what else might be happening. If you can shut down these Adepts without them dealing damage, that's always a bonus. As Namshar's position in the game, Musco Augment's about to finish, gives him that ability to move around the map a little bit faster, but he is mostly waiting for that Lurker Den to finish up here to truly get some presence on the map and to truly be able to take some larger fights. Because the pure Hydras only take you so far, especially now Storm is already up from Geralt. There isn't really a way that Namshar takes a fight in the near future that's going to benefit him, so has to wait for the Lurker Den. Until then, he'll just sort of sit a little bit passively. I mean, you really have to as well, because those Lurkers take an absolute eternity to finish up. An absolute eternity. As we do see another couple of gates coming down, a few more cannons. Starting to build as well as a shield battery or two, so some little bits and pieces from Geralt just setting up on the third base. The more secure this third base is, the more he can commit his defense over towards a fourth base location, and the more he can start to secure that base for the foreseeable future. Phoenix starts to chase down this Overseer, coming all the way up the top side. Ho ho ho! I think he was about to try and feedback that. Or was it just the auto attacks of the High Templar? It looked as though the Overseer was about to get feedback, but he dropped the change-ins just before it became worthwhile, as we are going to be seeing the Overseer chase away, and the Hydras do take down a Phoenix. So working their way through the middle of the map, obviously now these Hydras are about to be able to morph into Lurkers, and so it's time for Namshar to start taking some aggressive positions and start putting those Lurkers to use. I mean, the earlier in the game you hit with the Lurkers, the less prepared the Protoss is generally going to be. The Zerg army in general is one of those armies which, over time, devalues in terms of what it can get done. Whereas the Protoss army definitely gains a lot of value based on how much, how many Immortals and Archons and Storms you can get up and all the rest of it. Army just sitting around, a little bit off to the right-hand side here, and Namshar, again, a lot of Hydras off to the right side, where a few Dropper Lords actually coming forward from Namshar down to the south. Namshar loves this sort of Dropper Lord play, where you load up a bunch of units, start dropping them to the main. It starts to force the Protoss army to split up, and you can even fake it out sometimes. If you drop the units once and then you send the Overlords empty next time around, sometimes the Protoss player can like overcommit, and that can always be very painful. What is painful is losing your Dropper Lords because they're all loaded up and flying over a couple of Archons, and that's going to be a couple of units going down here in a moment or so. The Overseers come in to try and protect, Storm to help out. He even finds a couple of Morphin Lurkers. Disaster for Namshar. That's not how that drop is meant to look, and neither is this how the Lurkers are meant to look. He even lets them finish, which means that these Lurkers are going to be full on expensive losses. Wow, rather than just cancelling them and getting some of the money back, he actually, I mean, I guess he gets a few of the Lurkers away, but he lost a couple, which is also expensive. That Queen was, oh my god, that was absolutely vicious. That was one of the most gory deaths I've seen in StarCraft 2. Not even going to talk about it. Well, Overlords are going to be dropping in towards the main base here in a moment. Well, they would be, but the Void Ray is here, and he's already shut down one of them, and now he's going to get a second one, so this is a complete shutdown of a very popular play that Namshar likes to make, and sort of, I mean, maybe just somewhat predictable, and Geralt just so well prepared. I mean, obviously at first flying right over the army is a little bit fortunate for Geralt, a little bit lazy in Namshar not to go the long way around, but this time, this was just great preparation. A Void Ray in position, gets a lot of damage dealt, and even if the Void Ray now has fallen, I mean, just shutting this down without allowing it to do anything is really beautiful so far from Geralt, as we do see these Lings are going to be trying to come in to shut down these Zealots. That hatchery is low, it will not fall here, as these Zealots are going to get cleaned up by these last few Hydras, if only just a few more Hydras coming in. But now it's so low that you've got to be a little bit worried about a future attack, as Geralt just misses out on grabbing those couple of Queens. Off over here, this one Hydra that's left from the drop that comes out gets taken down as well. Namshar is really in this location of the game where I think he's struggling, and I think he's just running out of a couple of options, but he does have a greater spire on the way. So, With a Great Spire on the way, Namshar does have a future option open to him. The Broodlords could be his savior in this. But he needs it. He really does, because at the moment, he hasn't got the lurker count up to be really a threat to this army of Geralt. He doesn't really have an army at all to be a threat to Geralt, but the Broodlords can change that. But will he be able to make it happen? Geralt very smartly has already thrown down Stargates on the third base, knowing here that, you know, eventually he wants to switch it up in towards a later game setup. He might just be, I mean, right now he does have a fleet picking because he made a mothership, so just getting those ready. He may not want to build carriers yet, but as soon as he feels like he does want to build carriers, if he can just start building those instantly, that's going to be a massive help. Now, he does not have detection with this army, as the lurkers here will get burrowed, but it doesn't matter because they weren't in position to protect the base. And a lot of lurkers even went down as they were just finishing and burrowing, so that's obviously big as well. A couple of lurkers actually burrowing over here. That's nice. And Namshar finally gets some damage on the map, finally forcing Geralt to kind of think about defending a little bit and actually just making some progress here. There's the Observer that's going to save the day eventually, but even those lurkers for now might even just be able to lift up and get out of there. That lurker's trying to chase the Overlord. Doesn't manage to get in. It gets left behind, as there's also a lurker in the main. So this really is a drop now, which is slowing Namshar down, slowing Geralt down a little bit. Maybe giving just Namshar that little bit of hope in this game, which he still needs, because he really hasn't had much hope for the last couple of minutes, I have to say. Everything's been going wrong, but finally he's got something going his way. Another lurker gets shot down here. Zalds are going to continue moving forwards, gathering up in the center of the map. A lot of Immortals and High Templar up to the top side. Few Zards charge on into the right-hand side as well. They get taken down pretty swiftly. 3 more carriers on the way up from Geralt. A couple of Zealots, Stalkers gathering up. Geralt is just going to pull back a little bit. I mean, there's actually a Namshar army coming across. And it's only Lings and Hydras. It's definitely an army he can fight for the moment. And the Broods and the Lurkers make it a little bit different. But Namshar's losing so much before those Broods and Lurkers show up. And Namshar... does he even have detection? I don't think he does with this army. No Overseer. So Namshar, without the detection, can't even fight against the Mothership. And, okay, there's the Overseer starting to come forwards now. I'll push on through. We're going to be seeing those Lurkers taking quite a bit of dealing quite a bit of damage, but now the Storms are very good initially. The Broodlord's definitely starting to push this back as Namshar gets something going his way, but even the Broodlord count isn't extremely scary at the moment. I mean, 5, 6 Broodlords, it's so manageable, and with 3 carriers on the way up, they're just going to be the answer to every issue that Geralt has, which is that he's just a little bit afraid to fight this army straight up all the time right now. But I mean, slowly but surely, those Storms are getting the damage done. Broodlords are even at the point of dropping dead, because the Storms have just dealt so much damage. The Observers, there's no Hydras in the front, so they can't even be a threat at the moment. Another Storm and the Broodlords disappear, although he does storm down all of his Observers. All 3 of his Observers get stormed down. By storming down all of his Observers, maybe the Lurkers could have had an effect there once again, but I mean, now the Lurkers died, this last Broodlord is chased, and Namshar is on the verge of a defeat here in Game 1 of the series. It's not pretty right now for Namshar as we see these last few units continue to come up towards the upper right-hand side. Geralt is going to have some Lings and Hydras pushing towards him, but I mean, so what? He's got Storms. He's got endless Storms, by the way. He's got 9 High Templar, and he is not afraid to show Namshar that he's got 9 High Templar underneath that Mothership. The Storms are endless, and now that the Storm energy is used, he's just going to morph in the Archons. GG, well played, says Namshar. And Geralt tonight. Depends on how things time out, depends on how fast some series are and how fast others are, etc. For now, let's see how this goes. To the bottom right-hand side, it is our blue Zerg player. It is Namshar. Top left, our red Zerg from red Protoss from Exceed. It is Geralt. Up a game. Nicely played in the last one. I mean, it really started to go wrong for Namshar when that Dropper Lord play was just straight up deflected. Not just deflected, but shut down and killed. That gave Geralt a little bit of momentum here, and then he just kept on shutting down the aggression. Suddenly Namshar was not doing any damage. Suddenly his Lurkers were being caught off guard, and Namshar just, nothing ever really kind of clicked into place for him in that game. You know, his Lurkers never got into the numbers that are actually really terrifying until way too late. You know, his drops never really did anything until much later in the game, where Geralt, yeah, okay, it did slow him down, but he was already so far ahead that did it really matter? Again, a question that has to come to the mind. So, as you do see this Overlord coming in towards the upper left, we are just going to be seeing Spawn and Pool from Namshar dropping down, getting ready to go. Obviously, on Acid Plant, I do always feel as though the lurker play on this one is quite powerful. We've seen a lot of powerful Protoss pushes on this map, a lot more aggressive plays, whether it's the 8 gates before 3rd Nexus or going up in towards like a Resonant Enclave Immortal attack has been something we've seen now and again as well. We have been seeing some different styles here and there from players throughout the day. So, fun to see what Geralt opens up with this time around. What does he change up? What does he go for? Rather than how he opened in game number 1. Or does he just do the same again? Does he feel as though that was good enough for himself? Was he happy with how it went? I mean, honestly, his early game was terrible, right? I mean, we saw the Templar single Oracle, didn't really do a lot. Then his Warp Prism came out for the Archons. They did nothing. The Warp Prism died. He cleaned up a bit of creep, I guess, and at least he didn't lose the Archons, which is the one positive. But losing the Warp Prism just means Namshar has so much freedom to just do whatever he wants. It's going to be seeing the Stargate on the way up in the main base. So far so good. Geralt just going into the Stargate. Namshar choosing to drop down his 3rd hatchery. Link speed on the way from Namshar as well. Everything we expect this to be for the moment. An Overlord just sat overhead. And the Adept just being chrono boosted out nice and quickly. And obviously the first Adept is already shading across the map to have a little bit of a look to see what is going on. What's happening over here. Is there a 3rd base? Is there mining on the natural? And obviously from here you can get into that position where with 2 Adepts you can start to get some little bits and damage done. Just a couple of Adepts will shade on forwards. Again, that Ling speed coming up in a moment from Namshar, the Nubtized Carapace as well. Ling's coming out, quite a few of them, and that's why the Adepts are already just backing away. Not going to press that look. So you know what Namshar can do with these, should be able to keep his opponent off a 3rd base for a little bit at least. But now coming around the left hand side. What's up, Phoenix TV with the Cheer 100 says thanks for the tip. Not sure what happened before, but the title change worked perfectly today. And it also claimed to qualify. Dude, thanks so much for the 100 bits. Glad your title change worked today. And, man, it'd be awesome to see Clem to qualify, wouldn't it? What a story that would already be for the WCS Challenger EU. If Clem was to be a part of it. Twilight Council and a Robo facility for Geralt coming down in the main base. So these do start to drop as we see the lair of Namshar is just about halfway done. Nice shade back from the Adept. Shades behind that pylon just in time to stay alive. But it is Namshar with the control of the map here. He got rid of those first 2 Adepts. Obviously the Oracle and the Phoenix get map control right. But on the ground, Namshar is completely controlling it with those Lings. And we'll see what he can do about this. That Queen's a little bit far forward, but now there's double Queen, and he targets the Oracle, which is of course the real threat of a unit. I mean, the Phoenix can lift a unit up, but the Oracle's the one that's actually going to deal some damage here, so... And I mean, exactly like this, right? The Phoenix lifts up a Queen, and that does make it a little bit of a threat this time around, but it's still the Oracle, which is going to be able to be pushed away, because he focused on that initially anyways, so... Nice little deal there by Namshar. Geralt just loses energy and health on the Oracle to really not gain anything. I mean, he didn't even force a transfuse, forced another Queen to come forwards, but does that really slow Namshar down at all? I mean, if he lined up his injects correctly, then no, it really shouldn't. So that's all good. Hydra's Den finishes, and once again, the Groove Spines initially. So here's the difference this time from Geralt, right? 4 more gates are just finishing up. So he's going up to the 6 gates, and now he'll go in towards the 3rd Nexus. In the near future, I'd imagine. Prism coming through, charge, and obviously the Archons are going to come in as well. So this one's a lot more about actually getting a bit of an attack on the map initially, rather than just building up in towards those Archon harassment sort of setups and getting something done at that point. So let's see what Geralt will get done with this, if anything. As Namshar scouts it all, he will see the 3rd Nexus coming down. Guy isn't cutting workers though, as these Lings run on in. I mean, Namshar's had the control of the ground, right? We said it. He actually lifts up one of the Adepts to keep it alive here. It shades away while being lifted. Now the Oracle comes in, but I think too many Lings? No, he's still going to decide to back away. Those 2 Adepts, though, can be caught, and that Oracle doesn't have energy endlessly. 12 energy left on it. The Adepts go down. Back away now, come back in 5 seconds, and there's no energy on the Oracle, and that Nexus might be a goner. Across the map goes Geralt. He's got 1,000 gas in the bank. He's going to warp in a bunch of Archons. He has to. He has to. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. Right? Lings continue to hit the 3rd Nexus. Again, nothing in position to defend this now. A couple more Adepts coming in. I mean, I guess they will be able to get the job done. Namshar doesn't jump onto those adepts just yet. Now he'll go for it. They have a little bit of a decent position here where at least the gas geyser is going to be limited in some of the surface area. Now there's not enough lings to get a cancel. There's a couple of Zealots and 2 Archons that morphed in. I mean, but still, right? I mean, he's got 800 gas in the bank, and Geralt's macro has slipped so heavily in this game. Finally coming forwards here, that Queen does go down as the Zealot finds itself another charge refresh, but the Hydra's coming in, pushing the Zealots back, and the Archons just have to lift and get out of here. And this one is just full control from Namshar, right? I mean, everything possible for Namshar right now has gone well. Every single little skirmish. And that brings Namshar to this position where it's up to him to decide what comes next. He will throw down a Baneling Nest this time around, which is a bit different to before. Last game he played it pure Ling Hydra straight into the Lurk Den. This time a bit of Ling Bane Hydra perhaps. Maybe a chance to change things up slightly. Storm is just over halfway done as we do see these couple of probes coming back in, and a couple of assimilators will come up on the third base. A couple of Archons, High Templar, Immortal. All gathering together. And this War Prism just coming down the right side, getting ready to go in towards the main perhaps in the next few moments. Bunch of Hydras here from Namshar spread out. This Oracle just continuing along again, a few Lings getting set up, a couple of Creep Gemas getting set down. It's just really a kind of a setup stage of the game. There's a lot more gates from Geralt though. He's up at a 9 with 4 more on the way. It's 13 gateways. Almost feels as though he wants to push forwards and just not look back. He doesn't have a forge, so it is just full-on unit production he's going to be looking at, although 2 more Immortals being produced. I'm sure starting with the Dropper Lords, although this time maybe not as committed as the last. Oh, nope, I'm wrong. I've always actually just 2 over Dropper Lords in different locations, but actually all 4 here. So he's going to move forwards and he's going to look to see what he can do. Obviously he wants to avoid that Phoenix. He loses an Overseer, a little bit of a shame. He has underneath the Phoenix. It pulls away in the right direction, but... oh! I thought the Creep was going to get the kill, but in the end it's going to be good enough. And the Phoenix does escape, which is nice for Geralt, because it will give him that little bit of a pre-warning about these Dropper Lords heading in towards his main in the next couple of moments. So, we'll get a bit of a pre-warning on that as he gets ready to throw down a 4th Nexus. Seems like that massive gateways was just for pure safety, or just because his macro was slipping earlier. So now he has his gateway production set for the rest of this game, more or less. 4 of these Overlords are about to drop down into the main. There's a 5th hatchery from Namshar comes on the right-hand side. His Creep looking comfortable for himself, and, well, here come the Hydras starting to unload. I mean, a few Zealots warp in, but not a lot. I mean, you look at what can go down here right away. Templar Archives is very vulnerable. Obviously, these Robo Facilities kind of vulnerable as well. And that's going to be the main thing that Namshar targets. Gets rid of some extra Immortal production. Pulling backwards now, going to try and deal with these couple of Zealots moving forwards. There's not a lot to tank beyond those couple of Zealots, but you will lift up and leave. A couple of Stalkers will get an Overlord low, but not a kill. Nice stasis ward here. Will block these Hydras coming in from the right-hand side, and that is something which obviously stops Namshar from doing as much damage as he'd like. He's obviously looking to win this for a bit of multi-prong, but that's not going to happen if he gets stopped from multi-prong on the right-hand side. This Void Ray has come out, and he's actually blocked these Overlords from dropping elsewhere, so that's going to be powerful. The Namshar on the right-hand side of the map is going to get so much done. A couple of Storms come in from the left-hand side. Namshar is going to find it so easy to move away from these. Gets another Archon. Zealots warp in. It's going to get a little bit done. One Overlord goes down. These Hydras, though, do mostly get out, and they are able to push the Void Ray away. Namshar continues to back off to the right side, but I feel a successful moment or two, and he still has units in different locations that can be somewhat successful, although these ones will not be useful at the moment. The Archon's a little bit too strong in position. Just going to be seeing Hydras and Lings just continuing to set up towards the front, and just going to continue moving towards the top side. A lot of Lings and Hydras on the left-hand side from Namshar here. As we're going to be seeing a couple of Archons, a few Immortals. I mean, even the Storm count isn't that high. 3 Storms on the left-hand side. There's a few more Storms over on this side, but now those Archons have to morph in. And these High Templar are going down too, and Namshar is just starting to pick apart Geralt. Attacking from the left and right time and time again is just slowly breaking him down, and Namshar with another set of Lings and Hydras on the way up. Namshar's kind of strapped for cash, I gotta say that though. It is a 4-base Protoss player, and I guess Geralt is still staying alive, right? Which is one of the more important parts of this. Oh, Namshar's right underneath the War Prism on move command though! Oh, Geralt doesn't know how lucky he is there. I mean, he still loses the Prism, he still loses the Zealots, but at least he takes a few Banes with it. It wouldn't have even been those few Banes if Namshar was on an attack move around that direction instead. How quickly things can change. As you do see units coming around the left-hand side, Hydras and a few more Bane lanes. A few Lings and Hydras trying to take the lead up here, and we will see those Zealots just very quickly going to drop. I mean, they're trying to get around the other side of the map to cancel a couple of bases, and Namshar, obviously that's not really going to happen. A good pre-spread here. The Storms are well placed considering how well split up the Hydras already were. It's not quite enough to get rid of all of them, but it will weaken them up. Another Warping might be able to do the job, but the Warping comes on the right side, because that's where all these Hydras are. The Lings have done so much damage to the Zealots warping in already, though, and these Hydras in terms of backup. I mean, now the Zealots don't even really get to come in. That Storm completely whiffs. I mean, that's one Hydra that maybe got connected in on that. He's still going to push this back, but obviously as reinforcements keep coming through, is Namshar just going to eventually break Geralt, or is Geralt holding on well enough? I mean, you got to keep in mind that he is keeping his immortal count up here. The immortals still being alive is a big part of this. Immortals are so crucial in these sort of fights. More Lings and Hydras are going to come along through the center of the map, and they are going to once again try and just see what they can find potentially. Overlord on the left side gets taken down by a couple of Void Rays. Big pull away of units to the left, big pull away of units from Namshar off to the right. Still going to stick with this sort of left and right behavior, however. Starting to look at some of these supplies, and Namshar's supply is much closer to the Geralt's supply than, much closer than it's been for a long time. So these continued fights, maybe they are starting to go the way of Geralt. Resources lost is similar, and Namshar and Geralt are on pretty even economies. The issue for Namshar is his army isn't getting any better, right? Whereas the army composition of Geralt is. Just again, with more mortals being alive with each wave of this attack. Those two storms may be a bit too preemptive. Actually morphs that straight into an Archon once those High Templars have used their energy. Just needs everything he can get to defend against those High Templars. To defend against these armies. So even when the High Templars are out of energy, he needs that Archon instead. He'll open another couple of High Templars to start building energy up, I guess. Another ship on the way. I mean, Geralt's making the moves in towards a better army setup. Namshar tries to dive a run by in towards the main. Doesn't happen, no. Geralt with a good defense there. Defends his high ground. Namshar's pulling away. He's going to dive on this base, which honestly is kind of low, but it's going to stay alive. A couple more cannons. I'd love to see a shield battery to actually just heal up the Nexus even. Get a little bit of Chrono Boost on it as well to speed up the shield regen. Actually, natural shield regen is sped up by Chrono Boost. Small little fact that some people will know, but others won't. I think one thing that Geralt has to worry about here a little bit is the fact that he is only on 4 bases, and that's been fine until now, but it's something that's going to be much more of a problem for him in the next couple of minutes. So if he doesn't get a 5th base up at some point, that's going to start to hurt. He actually loses one of his High Templar here without getting to use the Storm, and another one. Meanwhile, Banes have made their way in over here. 16 workers going down. Suddenly, Namshar just makes an attack that takes down a Nexus, takes down a good chunk of army, multiple High Templar lost. The army to the right side, though, from Geralt does win the fight, so he's able to bring this one over to the left now to keep on defending. But, with that said, these Lings and Hydras and Namshar are pushed back down the left, and so, pushed back down the left, I mean, yes, he killed this base. I guess the issue now is Geralt, can he actually deal with another attack, and can he deal with Broodlords coming through? He's trying to build carriers, but he just doesn't really have the resources to build enough carriers here, without a 4th base especially, because this 3rd base is really on the way to mining now. Not in terms of gas, but in terms of minerals. Natural obviously isn't very healthy either, so he only actually has about 32 probes of mineral income available to him, and some long distance mining here and there. That's not a lot, and a few Lings running towards this mineral line now. Namshar has +3 melee, he has Adrenal Glands. Those are upgrades which are just going to help him continue to do so well with these Zerglings. And, well, these last couple of fights from Namshar suddenly did start to turn the tides of battle. 16 minutes in, it looks like Namshar might be able to grab himself game 2, tying this series up 1-1. Not over yet, but the Broodlords really may well make it that way. This mothership will try and protect where possible, as we see a couple of storms dropping down already. Namshar a little bit reckless this time, walking through those a little bit more so than he's done previously. Continue to drop down these Broodlings with the Broodlords, and I mean, unit after unit's going down. Namshar has too much. GG, well played. Geralt won away here over the last 5-10 minutes. Let's jump on in and see who's going to take it. Bottom left-hand side, our blue Zerg player is Namshar. He just tied it up, winning that last game, but man, I really feel like he just clinched it with the skin of his teeth. Really felt Geralt was just a couple of fights away from maybe holding on. I mean, another minute or so and he has carriers as well to help versus Broodlords. It was intense. It was intense. Losing the 4th base was obviously one of the tougher things for him there. So the top right hand side, he is Geralt from XCD Sports. The Immortals could have been replaced with Disruptors. I mean, the Disruptors don't do very well when the Lings start running forwards. I don't think. Obviously you can hope for the miracle shots, but I think overall the Immortals are just so much sturdier, they give you so much more value over time, without hoping for the, you know, miracle connections. I also think once you have a couple of storms coming down, the Immortals just chunk their way through a couple of Hydras at the end of the storm. They actually take down Hydras surprisingly quickly. Immortals are pretty good, man. There's a reason we see them in pretty much every single PvZ. Setting up here, guys, waiting to see what the next little bit of this might be. What's the health bar on the screen? The health bar on the screen is the Bit Boss. By cheering bits, you do damage to the Bit Boss. If you kill him, you become the new Bit Boss. Start getting on the way here from Geralt on Eastwatch from map 3, by the way. I mean, talk about bases that are a little bit easier to hold on, perhaps this is definitely one of them. Dep just going to be Corona boosted out here from Geralt here. I can't speak anymore. Suddenly just lost myself the ability to speak. It's going to be seeing the Adept shading around, and we are going to be seeing the 3rd hatchery coming up. So, first Adept coming across, 2nd Adept too. I mean, we've seen a lot of PvZ today, guys. I feel as though I'm very much so just repeating what we've said before, but these Adepts, they're looking to see what they can do. It's a very standard way to set up. What is interesting about Namshar is he always gets this Nubitaz Carapace early game, and that gives him a lot of kind of speed with these Overlords. And obviously that means he sees absolutely everything that's happening, so he's never going to be caught off guard by like a super fast all-in, at least he shouldn't be. You know, the Nubitaz Carapace investment, you know, you lose out on maybe an extra bit of Queen production, it's extra gas early in the game that you have to invest into to get a nice catch on these Adepts. But you know, you therefore have to make sure you get the most out of it, and, you know, in terms of Nubitaz Carapace, that means not dying to all-ins, that means not being caught off guard by production of random units or whatever. It means you should always know what's going on from the Protoss player, so we are going to be seeing the Phoenix coming off over to the right-hand side. As you see that, I mean, they just come in here to see if the 3rd Nexus is already trying to be taken, but at the moment, just the Templar Archives will be coming up very soon. For now, it's the Twilight Council, obviously, but that leads into the Templar Archives. Looks like we're going to see that Templar Archives in charge set up once again. I mean, that's what we've been seeing pretty much day in and day out here with this sort of opener. It's become the new bread and butter of PvZ. There's a few different ways to do it, but it really is just the way that players have figured out that really does give you a solid setup going in towards the mid game at the moment. So just going to see this Oracle coming back down to the south side, and as it comes back down to the south, just looking for more potential openings. So far the 2 Queens up north were pretty good to push that way. More Prism coming through, charge right away, Templar Archives as well as expected. All eyes on Geralt. When does he throw down that 3rd Nexus or try to move towards it? There's at least going to be 2 more gateways, apparently. There's 1 and there's the 2. Is it going to be 3 and 4? Not just yet. When I say 3 and 4, that would bring us up to 8 total on the gateway count. A little bit more aggressive, a little bit more committed to really doing damage here in the early stages. This Oracle's pulling back up the right side. Zerglings of Namshar coming over to the right hand side as well. We are going to be seeing a probe just going to drop a pylon so you can get ready for the Nexus. Very much so what you'd expect. And that pylon is perfect to protect those 2 Adepts just before the Lings get here. Main thing for the Lings is to actually pop the Oracle energy. Just get rid of that Oracle energy a little bit just by turning it on and off. Still costs some energy to turn on, even if you turn it off right away, so it does slow things down a little bit. Feeling us down the ramp, and we do see an Adept just poking away at one of the Zerglings there, and we are going to see a couple of Archons just getting ready to jump into the Prism as we expect it to be. Obviously the Zealots can warp in beyond this as well, they help out with some larger fights, but Namshar's already getting the Hydra count up. It's 57 Hydras, and he's looking as though he's going to be kind of okay to just set up in towards the defense here. First Overlord might go down. Ooh, he's going to go for the Prism because it's set up into warp in mode, but he actually attacked a Zealot. I really thought that was going to be a Prism target. As you do see, those first couple of Zealots go down without issue. Not really much gained. He doesn't quite get the Overlord. Finally gets at the very end there, so nicely done. Prism loads up. Psystorm is on the way down from Geralt as well. So just getting that storm up and rolling as we do see the Overseer of Namshar checking out the bases also. Spire dropping down. Evolution Chamber, or two on the way up actually from Namshar. So a couple of Evo Chambers coming through now. A Baneling Nest as well on the natural expansion. A fourth base from Namshar will also come down to the south. Again, a few Zerglings here just moving through the center, gathering up with these few Hydralisks. Still just some movement around the map at this point. Just looking to see where we're going, just looking to see what's going to be happening. Looking to see if Geralt has much left in him here. Again, this is an elimination match. You lose this and boom, you are out of the tournament. You win this, you're a couple series away from being successful in this qualifier. We do have some updates on the bracket, by the way. Winner of this will play the winner of Ziggy and Insane. That's a Terran versus Terran matchup which is going on. So the winner of this series will play a Terran, and then the winner of that will play against DNS to try and qualify. Meanwhile, Clem is still waiting for Art versus Archangel, winner of which will play Space Marine, winner of which will play the winner of TLO Rail. And then the winner of that finally plays Clem in the qualifying match on the other side on the losers bracket. So, a lot going on in the loser bracket still here in the European Challenger qualifier number 2. It's the last chance to qualify. 2 more players are left to make up that 16-player WCS Challenger. As you do see those Archons pushing the Overlord away. And the Observer coming through. Creep Tumors continually being picked off here. 8 Mutalisks coming on in from Namshar. We do see a melee upgrade, a missile upgrade from him, so he's going into that sort of interesting sort of style from himself where he's going to have, you know, the commitment to Lings and Banes and Hydras, but the Mutas, let's see what he can do with those. Can he force out enough kind of Phoenix to make them worthwhile? Can he clean out a couple of mineral lines? That would be amazing if he could. That said, does Geralt have a bit of an idea about the Spire? Where is the Spire? No, he hasn't seen it. Actually, hasn't seen anything. He's just adding on a bunch of cannons in the main. Probably because he's aware of the fact that Namshar likes to drop into the main base, right? So, that's actually kind of funny. Obviously, those cannons only block the Mutas if they come in from this direction. If they come in here, that mineral line is still very exposed. Oh, War Prism with 2 Archons in is actually just going to be missed by the Mutalisks. Well, that's a little bit of something there, as again, he's going to hit this main base mineral line. He's also ready to get push in towards the 3rd base with the rest of his army. And come the Archons, and Namshar has to back away now. 9 workers killed. Pushing into the 3rd. Geralt is nearby enough. And we're going to be seeing this natural mineral line now under attack as well. So these first Mutas, I feel, are doing a lot, and Namshar's actually building even more Mutalisks. 7 more on the way, and more of them are already arriving across the map. There is just a lone Immortal kind of sat here. This cannon should probably not be allowed to come up. You probably can just target that down before it finishes, and he will do so. Actually comes in for the War Prism, which means those Archons can't micro around anymore. Somehow this cannon is just able to survive with the help of the shield battery. Storm is available here, and they're going to have to be used. We do see the Banes get stormed down at least. More storms for the Hydralisk. There's a lot of High Templar, so that's okay. Mutas are pushed away, but 22 workers killed. Damage has already been dealt here by Namshar. Is Geralt able to hold on? More storms coming down. The Mutas are diving onto the High Templar now. There's not really any anti-air in this army, so the Mutas can sit here. The 3rd base has no anti-air on it either. These couple of Archons are going to drop without the Archons. The Mutas can just continue to have the time of their life. They picked off another High Templar, and that's painful. Suddenly no storms. Although there isn't much reinforcements to actually come across the map with for Namshar just yet and push on in. If they are on the way out, they're just not gathered together yet. So Geralt will have a moment or two to get some units all, together now, and to try and make this work for himself. Goes to the top side, still flying around. The rest of Namshar's army now has gathered together on the south. This is starting to look similar to the last game where Namshar had to work a lot to be able to break through Geralt, and he was all over the place in terms of trying to break him. I love this. Zealot's coming around the top side. Feels like Geralt didn't really do much last game in terms of harassing himself once Namshar started the aggression, so this is nice to see him already getting a little bit of something on the map. Because Namshar has nothing at home to really deal with a bunch of Zealots right now, and that could be goodbye to a base, depending on how successful this goes. And Queen has a couple of transfusions. Drones are even pulling the fight. That's how in trouble Namshar is at the moment. He knows it, right? He's pulling so many units back home. Transfusers are already dropping. Some Lings now running in. I think this hatchery might just survive. I mean, really only just as well. Clutch hold by Namshar. 50 health. And he is able to keep his third base up. So those Zealots, I mean, it's a good start. Because it also buys him a lot of time. Where obviously the pros player now didn't have to worry about the Zerg army for a few moments. Just because of 6 or 7 Zealots. So it buys him a bit more time to build up. The Storm energy is back. Now Namshar is actually maybe getting ready to go for a fight. Has to get ready to split up those Banes though. One Storm can be so deadly if they come in all clumped up. First 2 Storms get dodged. Nice dodge from Namshar. Another preemptive Storm there. Doesn't really hit much. Obviously a couple of units wander into it and get taken down, but nothing significant. And yes, it's still 3 damage, but it's not amazing game-ending sort of damage or holding levels of damage. Force fields were okay-ish here to hold off some of these Hydras for a little while. Army rotates back towards the 3rd base. Namshar already has Mirrors in position to shut down the 4th from coming down, so he's going to be able to get rid of that at least. And now Namshar is once again to the left and to the right. We've seen that before from him on Acid Plant. Has to be so careful. I mean, this is where it gets very dangerous though, right? Because if you're not paying attention to one side at the wrong moment, boom, Storms are going to be saying goodbye to you. And, well, that's nice though. He gets rid of these High Templar. That's very painful. In fact, 4 High Templar go down the left-hand side of this. Some of all starting to turn around, but there's no support. A high-energy High Templar gets picked off to the south. Namshar is starting to make some real things happen for himself at the moment. The meters are still sat off to the side. They're going to come in and fight this Phoenix as Geralt has actually got selected somehow. Geralt holds on. Namshar has so much money in the bank. He's going to remax instantly on Lings and Banes and Hydras. He's got a great spy on the way as well, and obviously that was something that was a game changer for Namshar back in the second game there. So the Broodlord's coming through. That's obviously going to happen eventually. He just has to keep Geralt kind of pinned back for a little while longer. One of the other things that Namshar in that last game, he let Geralt have a 4th base. This game, he really hasn't let Geralt have a 4th base. And without a 4th base, Geralt is really struggling a little bit more than he did previously. Just going to be seeing these couple of Hydras do get caught off down here. But now we're going to see these High Templar kind of just on their own. The Lings are just going to commit onto them. He storms some Banes. He actually gets a lot of Banes, in fairness, for the couple of High Templar. But now the Storms are non-existent. Maybe one Storm left and it does connect. But now the rest of these Banes will have a time of their life. Wow, knocks down the rocks. I'm not even sure who targeted the rocks there, but they go down, which puts these units into a bit of a corner. No recall? I mean, I guess not, because otherwise you would have recalled by now, right? There's no way you wouldn't have. Off to the left-hand side, we see the Zealots getting taken down. This base staying alive. The Queen Energy transfusing those hatcheries back up to health. Couple of drones going down as more Zealots trying to find damage, but now this army's going to commit in, and those Immortals are going to go down. And as this goes down, Namshar will take even further of a supply lead in this game. Geralt might be kissing goodbye to his WCS European Challenger qualifier run. Might have to say goodbye to WCS Challenger in this season. One High Templar falls as those Zerglings just dive on in. A few Storms all ready to go, but now they've all been used up, and so the Hydra's just going to start dominating once again. These Mutas still alive, by the way. They've had so much damage dealt throughout this game. It's very impressive that he's had so much with them, actually. I was a little bit doubtful about the Mutas initially, but boy, did he prove me wrong. He did so much with these. So many workers went down initially, and he's been doing such a good job of just continuing to deny. I mean, he denied this gold base with them. He's been using them in the army. He's been sniping a High Templar here and there. He's done so well for himself, and even now finds 10 more probes with them as he just waits for the Broodlords to come out. And of course, as those Broodlords come out, this might very well just be goodbye to Geralt. He's trying to take a 4th base once more, so he has to try and hold his position, as his natural and 3rd base will not be too healthy on mineral and gas count any longer. He needs this base, and that's going to force him to fight, and he does not want to take a fight. Broodlords are going to push him back. I mean, Geralt, he pulls away, and Namshar's just like, okay, cool, man. Sit on 3 bases if you want to. My Broodlords will come in and try and force you to fight anyways. But, you know, I'm not going to throw units at you just for the sake of throwing units at you. Warp Prism does warp in some Zealots, and that is some chaos the Namshar has to deal with. Storm is good, but now the High Templar get rid of the got gotten rid of by the Broodlords. The Broodlords doing a great job there, and as these Zealots go down, the Warp Prism falls. Counterattacks are dealt with. GG, well played, good luck. Namshar takes game number 3, and Namshar